This news is very new about what the Senate approach is, but have you had a chance to look at it, and what is your initial reaction from the House side?
Well, I just got the briefing. As a matter of fact, that came up from the briefing. My initial reaction is I don't think the American people elected the party of fiscal restraint, fiscal conservatism or responsibility to increase spending by 13% at the federal level, right? We just did tax cuts, which are great, but that doesn't give us a license to go out and just spend like there's no tomorrow. I remind everybody we got a $20 trillion deficit and more. So this is, I'm very concerned about what I'm hearing right now. And once again, we got 10 Democrats in the Senate dictating what we do across the country. Holding, 2 weeks ago, they were holding immigration hostage. Now they're saying we got to vote to bankrupt the country if we want to fund our military, which is readiness has been cut 70% over the last decade. We all understand our military needs funding and needs to be made whole again, but that doesn't mean you need to bankrupt the country to do it.
Well, Congressman, exactly. Let's parse this a little bit, because as I understand your position, you're fine in spending more money, which would be deficit spending on the military, because we need it, and a lot of people agree we need that. But you're not okay in spending it for domestic purposes. Explain to the American people, as you say, that's who really the constituents are. Explain to them why one is okay and one's not.
Well, we have a constitutional mandate, and none of us would be standing in a free country if it wasn't for our military. At a time when you got 5 of 58 brigade combat teams ready, 5 of 58 ready to go to war, when you got twice as many aviation accidents and 70% of readiness has been cut over the last decade, our military has been decimated by the last administration's policies, including sequestration. So we all understand we need to make the military whole and get them back to a point where they can operate in a very hostile world. And people like me have been advocating for that since last fall. But we've been held hostage month after month after month for one reason or another. Like I said, a week and a half ago, it was over deferred action for childhood arrivals or people that came here illegally. That's why we held the military and government funding hostage and had a shutdown. And now this week, and now we're talking about essentially bankrupting the country. 13% increase in domestic spending across the federal government. 13% increase. Now, look, people got a tax cut, and hopefully their wages are going up, but I doubt people are getting 13%. That's not draining the swamp.
So where do negotiations go from here? Because the House passed its own spending bill yesterday, but then you have this broad budget deal from the Senate. So do you pass another stopgap and then work out the details of the budget and appropriations bill until March 23rd?
I think we can do that. I mean, the House passed all 12 appropriations bills, so we're held up once again by the Senate, who's held up again by 10 Democrats who refuse to vote on appropriations bills. We have to prioritize just like anybody that has a house. You got to make your car payments, your insurance payments, your education payments, your food payments. You got to do those things, but the things that you'd like to have, sometimes you don't have enough money for them. We have to defend our nation. That's paramount. We get that. It's part of the Constitution. But other things, we need to decide which things are on a lower tier, and we're just apparently not willing to make those decisions. We can't act like we have all the money that we don't. We're talking about over $1 trillion in deficit spending this year. It is unacceptable.
Congressman, House Democrats also are not very happy with this budget deal, with the Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi coming out saying that they need a commitment on immigration. If you get another spending deal without anything on immigration, what guarantees do they have that they'll get a DACA deal afterwards?
It shouldn't be tied to immigration. This is the federal funding of our government, the funding of our federal government. Immigration is a whole other issue. There's absolutely no reason to hold. We already tried this a week and a half ago, holding the federal funding hostage for immigration. We need to deal with that policy, and we can, but let's get the funding off the table. Let's fund the federal government so we don't do this month-to-month thing where every month we're back here saying there's another government shutdown looming in a couple hours, and you have the clock running. That's craziness. So we just need to get past that, fund the government, do what you're... That's our main role here, right? That's what we're supposed to do. Pick the priorities, how much spending, for what. Let's do that, and then let's get to the immigration debate and not hold it hostage.